Ladies and gentlemen, life is a battleground between order and chaos, between who you are today and who you could be tomorrow. The question is, how do you move forward? How do you ensure that each day you are just a little better than the person you were yesterday? Self-improvement is not a grand revolution. It is not about tearing down your entire existence in one fell swoop. No, it is a process. Incremental, disciplined, and deeply meaningful. It is about aiming at the highest good you can conceive of, then structuring your daily actions in a way that brings you closer to it. It is about understanding that the road to mastery, to competence, to fulfillment is paved with small, consistent victories over yourself. And so today we will break down the formula for improving yourself every day, not through abstract wishful thinking, but through practical, actionable steps that align with responsibility, discipline, and meaning. Because in the end, if you are not moving forward, you are falling behind. Let's begin. To improve yourself every day, the first and most fundamental step is to aim at the highest good you can conceive of. This is not a trivial task. It requires deep introspection and an honest confrontation with your own potential. You must ask yourself, what could I become if I truly dedicated myself to growth? And then pursue that vision with everything you have. Without a clear aim, you are like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly, subject to the chaos of the world, reacting instead of acting with purpose. Human beings are goal-oriented creatures. We structure our reality around what we perceive as valuable, and that which we aim at determines what we see. If you have no aim, everything appears equally relevant or irrelevant, and this leads to paralysis, confusion, and despair. But when you fix your sight on the highest possible good, everything begins to align. You start to see opportunities where before there were only obstacles. Your mind, in its incredible complexity, begins to filter the world in a way that highlights the paths leading toward your goal. This is why clarity of aim is not just beneficial. It is necessary. Now, the highest good is not simply personal success or material wealth. Those may be components of it, but they are insufficient as guiding principles. The highest good must be something deeper, something that resonates with meaning itself. It must be something that justifies the struggles of life, something worth sacrificing for. For many, this could be the pursuit of wisdom, the commitment to truth, the development of character, or the dedication to lifting others up. The specifics will vary, but the principle remains the same. The aim must be noble enough to inspire and challenging enough to demand your full engagement. To aim at the highest good, you must first recognize where you are now. This requires brutal honesty. You must map your weaknesses, acknowledge your fears, and confront the parts of yourself that you would rather ignore. This is not easy. Most people avoid self-examination because it reveals uncomfortable truths. But if you do not know where you are, how can you chart a course forward? It is the same as trying to navigate without a starting point. Impossible. Impossible. So you must be willing to see yourself clearly in all your flawed imperfection, and then set your sights on what you could be if you truly tried. Once you have a vision of what is possible, you must break it down into actionable steps. A grand vision without a path is just a dream, and dreams without structure often dissolve into frustration. The aim must be translated into practical steps, small, achievable actions that, when compounded over time, lead to transformation. If your goal is to develop discipline, start by waking up at the same time every day. If your goal is to master a skill, dedicate an hour daily to deliberate practice. If your goal is to become more courageous, begin by facing small fears voluntarily. Progress is made through consistent, disciplined effort in the direction of your highest ideal. There will be resistance. The world will throw distractions at you, and your own mind will rebel against change. Old habits will pull you back. Doubts will whisper that you are not capable. But this is part of the process. The challenge is what gives the pursuit meaning. If becoming your best self was easy, it would not be worth doing. The struggle is what makes it valuable. This is why the highest good must be something compelling enough to withstand the temptations of comfort and complacency. It must be a vision so strong that it calls you forward, even when the path is difficult. Another critical aspect of aiming at the highest good is the necessity of continual recalibration. As you grow, your understanding of what is truly good will deepen. What seemed like the pinnacle of achievement yesterday may appear small tomorrow. This is not failure. It is progress. It is progress. It means you are seeing more clearly, that your perception is becoming more refined. The highest good is not a static target. It is a direction, a North Star that guides you forward. You must be willing to adjust your aim as you learn more about yourself and the world. Moreover, aiming at the highest good requires sacrifice to move towards something great. You must let go of what is lesser. This means sacrificing bad habits, unproductive relationships, and even outdated versions of yourself. It means choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure, meaning over comfort, discipline over indulgence. Every choice you make either moves you closer to or further from your goal. And so each day you must ask yourself, is this action aligning me with my highest aim? If the answer is no, then you must be willing to correct your course. It is also important to recognize that aiming at the highest good is not just a personal endeavor. Your growth has a ripple effect on those around you. When you strive toward your potential, you inspire others to do the same. When you lift yourself up, you create the possibility of lifting others. This is not merely self-improvement. It is a contribution to something greater than yourself. The more you align yourself with what is truly good, the more you become a force for good in the world. There will be moments of doubt, moments where the burden feels too heavy. But those are the times when you must remind yourself why you started. You must reconnect with the vision that set you on this path. You must remember that the alternative, stagnation, aimlessness, despair. Growth is difficult, but the consequences of not growing are far more painful in the long run. Aiming at the highest good is not a one-time decision. It is a commitment that must be renewed every day. You must wake up and choose to move forward, to make today slightly better than yesterday, to take one more step toward who you could be. You will not always succeed, but the act of trying, of striving, is itself transformative. The pursuit shapes you into the kind of person who is capable of achieving what once seemed impossible. Improvement is not about sudden, radical transformation. It is about small, consistent steps that accumulate over time. People often become overwhelmed by the idea of changing their lives because they believe it must happen all at once. They look at their flaws, weaknesses, and shortcomings and think the only way forward is through dramatic, sweeping action. But that is a mistake. Real change is built on incremental progress. The idea that if you improve by just 1% every day, those small gains compound, and over time, the transformation is immense. This principle is deeply rooted in human psychology and behavior. The brain resists large-scale change because it perceives it as a threat. If you try to overhaul everything in one go, you are likely to burn out or give up entirely. But if you commit to making small, manageable improvements each day, your mind adapts, your habits shift, and progress becomes sustainable. It is not about reaching the peak of the mountain in a single leap. It is about taking the first step, then the next, and then another. The key is consistency. One of the reasons incremental progress works so well is because it bypasses the common problem of motivation. People often wait to feel inspired before taking action, but motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates. Some days you feel like pushing forward. Other days you do not. If you rely on motivation alone, you will never achieve lasting progress. Instead, small, daily improvements shift the focus from feeling motivated to developing discipline. Discipline is what carries you forward when motivation fades. It turns action into routine, and routine into identity. The 1% rule applies to every aspect of life. Your health, your skills, your mindset, your relationships. If you want to become stronger, do a little more today than you did yesterday. If you want to improve your knowledge, read a few more pages. learn one more concept, ask one more question. If you want to build better habits, start small. Make it so easy that you cannot fail. Instead of trying to exercise for an hour a day from the start, begin with 5 minutes. Instead of overhauling your entire diet, replace one unhealthy choice with a better one. These small wins create momentum. The key is to make progress so gradual that resistance does not have a chance to stop you. When a goal feels overwhelming, the mind finds excuses. Too much effort, too much risk, too much discomfort. But if the step is small enough, there is no excuse. If you commit to writing just one sentence a day, for example, it is almost impossible to justify skipping it. And once you start, you often find yourself doing more than you intended. Action creates momentum, and momentum sustains progress. There is a compounding effect to small improvements. If you get 1% better every day in a year, you will be 37 times better than when you started. This is because progress builds on itself. Each improvement strengthens your ability to make the next one. Learning one new skill makes it easier to learn another. Overcoming one small challenge gives you confidence to take on a bigger one. The process feeds itself, and before you realize it, you have made significant strides. Failure is inevitable along the way, but it does not have to be a setback. In fact, failure is part of the incremental improvement process. When you take small steps, the cost of failure is low. If you miss a day or make a mistake, it is not catastrophic. You simply correct course and keep going. The problem comes when people see failure as evidence that they are incapable or that progress is not happening fast enough. They give up because they expected perfection. But perfection is not the goal. Consistent effort is. A small setback does not erase the progress you have made. What matters is that you keep moving forward. One of the biggest challenges in pursuing incremental improvement is impatience. People want results immediately. When they do not see dramatic changes right away, they assume their efforts are wasted. But real progress is often invisible at first. It is like water dripping on a rock. Each drop seems insignificant, but over time it reshapes the surface. The effects of small improvements may not be obvious in a week or even a month, but over time they become undeniable. The people who succeed are the ones who persist even when progress is not immediately visible. Another important factor in making small improvements every day is measurement. If you do not track your progress, it is easy to feel like you are standing still, even when you are moving forward. Keeping a record, whether it is writing down what you did, tracking habits, or reviewing goals, creates a sense of accomplishment. It allows you to see how far you have come, which reinforces motivation and commitment. The simple act of measuring progress makes it more likely that you will continue improving. Surrounding yourself with the right environment also plays a crucial role. Your habits and behaviors are shaped by your surroundings. If you want to improve, make it easier for yourself by structuring your environment in a way that supports progress. If you want to read more, keep books where you can see them. If you want to eat healthier, keep nutritious foods readily available. If you want to exercise regularly, make sure your workout gear is easily accessible. Small changes in your surroundings make small improvements easier to sustain. The people you spend time with also influence your progress. If you are surrounded by those who encourage growth, you are more likely to stay on track. If you are surrounded by those who reinforce bad habits, progress becomes much harder. Seeking out a community of like-minded individuals who are also striving to improve creates accountability and inspiration. Being part of an environment that normalizes self-improvement makes it easier to stay committed to small daily progress. The process of getting 1% better every day requires patience, discipline, and the willingness to focus on small wins instead of instant results. The most successful individuals are not the ones who rely on occasional bursts of effort, but those who commit to slow, steady progress over time. The key is to trust the process, even when it feels slow. Small, consistent actions repeated over time lead to extraordinary results. Taking responsibility is the foundation of self-improvement. It is the recognition that your life is, to a large extent, within your control, and that the choices you make each day determine the direction in which you move. Many people spend their lives blaming external circumstances for their failures, pointing fingers at their upbringing, society, or luck. While external factors do play a role, adopting a mindset of responsibility shifts the focus from what cannot be controlled to what can. When you take responsibility, you acknowledge that no matter where you start, it is up to you to determine where you end up. The first step in taking responsibility is recognizing that you are not a victim. Life is unfair, suffering is inevitable, and hardships will come. But allowing those realities to define you only weakens your ability to improve. People who view themselves as victims often adopt a passive attitude toward life, waiting for someone else to fix their problems. This is a dangerous mindset because it places the power to change in the hands of others. But the truth is, no one is coming to save you. If you want to improve, you must take charge of your own life and refuse to let circumstances dictate your potential. Personal responsibility means owning your mistakes and shortcomings. It is easy to make excuses, to justify failures by blaming external forces, but excuses do not lead to growth. A person who constantly makes excuses remains stagnant, repeating the same mistakes over and over. When you take responsibility, you admit when you are wrong, analyze what went wrong, and take steps to correct it. This mindset allows you to learn from failure rather than be defined by it. One of the most powerful realizations a person can have is that they are responsible for their own mindset. Your thoughts shape your perception of reality. If you constantly dwell on negativity, you will see obstacles everywhere. If you adopt a proactive mindset, you will begin to see solutions instead of problems. Taking responsibility for your thoughts means being mindful of the narratives you create in your mind. If you tell yourself that you are incapable, that the world is against you, that success is out of reach, you will act in ways that reinforce those beliefs. But if you choose to adopt a mindset of growth, resilience, and possibility, you will take actions that align with those beliefs. Taking responsibility also means setting standards for yourself. Too many people drift through life without a clear sense of direction because they have not taken the time to define what they expect from themselves. When you take responsibility, you create standards for your work ethic, your health, your relationships, and your character. You decide what kind of person you want to be and hold yourself accountable to that standard, even when no one else is watching. Discipline is an essential part of personal responsibility. Many people wait to feel motivated before they take action, but motivation is unreliable. Discipline, on the other hand, is a commitment to doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. A responsible person does not let fleeting emotions dictate their actions. They get up and work, even when they do not feel like it. They honor their commitments, even when it is inconvenient. They follow through on their goals, even when progress is slow. This level of discipline creates consistency, leads to results. A person who takes responsibility does not waste time complaining about things they cannot change. Change. Complaining is a form of passive resignation. It shifts focus away from solutions and reinforces a sense of powerlessness. Instead of complaining about unfair circumstances, a responsible person asks, "What can I do to improve this situation?" They take action where they can and accept what they cannot control with grace. This proactive mindset not only leads to tangible improvements, but also fosters resilience and self-respect. Another key aspect of responsibility is understanding the power of choice. Every day you make hundreds of small choices that shape your future. The choice to wake up early or sleep in. The choice to exercise or remain sedentary. the choice to learn something new or waste time on distractions. The accumulation of these choices determines the trajectory of your life. A responsible person is aware of this and makes decisions with intention rather than impulse. They recognize that even the smallest actions contribute to long-term success or failure. Responsibility also extends to how you treat others. Many people go through life blaming their relationships, friendships, or professional failures on the other party. But a responsible person looks inward first. They ask themselves how they contributed to the situation and what they can do differently in the future. They do not waste time dwelling on what others should have done. Instead, they focus on what they can control, their own actions and responses. This mindset leads to stronger, healthier relationships because it prioritizes self-awareness and accountability over blame. One of the most liberating aspects of taking responsibility is that it gives you control over your own life. When you blame others or external circumstances, you give away your power. But when you accept responsibility, you reclaim that power. You recognize that no matter what has happened in the past, you have the ability to shape your future. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions or for someone else to create opportunities for you. You take action, create your own opportunities, and take control of your own destiny. Taking responsibility requires courage. It is much easier to blame circumstances or other people than to admit that your current situation is a result of your own decisions. But the moment you embrace responsibility, you open the door to transformation. Yet, it is not an easy path. There will be moments of discomfort, self-doubt, and frustration. But responsibility is the foundation of all meaningful progress. It allows you to learn from failure, build resilience, and take control of your own life. Discipline is far more reliable than motivation when it comes to self-improvement. Many people wait to feel motivated before taking action, believing that inspiration is the key to success. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes, often vanishing when challenges arise or when the initial excitement of a new goal fades. Those who rely on motivation alone tend to start strong but struggle to maintain consistency. Discipline, on the other hand, is stable, unwavering, and built through conscious effort. It is what allows a person to persist in their goals even when they do not feel like it. Developing discipline begins with understanding that emotions are unreliable guides. Some days you will wake up feeling ready to tackle the world. Other days you will feel drained, uninspired, or even defeated. So, if you only take action when you feel like it, progress will be inconsistent, and inconsistency is the enemy of growth. Discipline is the ability to act according to your values and commitments, regardless of your emotional state. It means showing up every day, even when you are tired, unmotivated, or facing obstacles. One of the reasons discipline is so powerful is that it transforms habits into identity. When you repeatedly engage in disciplined action, it becomes a part of who you are. A person who exercises daily, no matter how they feel, eventually sees themselves as someone who prioritizes their health. A person who consistently studies, practices, or works on a skill, even when uninspired, begins to see themselves as someone who values mastery. The more you reinforce an action through discipline, the more it becomes second nature, and eventually it no longer requires conscious effort to maintain. Discipline is built through small, consistent actions. Many people set ambitious goals but fail to break them down into manageable steps. They tell themselves they will work out for an hour a day, read 5 books a month, or wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. While these goals may be admirable, they often fail because they demand too much change all at once. Instead, discipline is best cultivated through gradual progression. Start small with commitments that are easy to maintain and then build on them over time. This approach ensures that discipline is sustainable rather than overwhelming. Another key aspect of discipline is structure. When you create routines and systems that support your goals, you reduce the mental effort required to stay on track. If you rely on willpower alone, you will eventually falter. But if you structure your environment and schedule in a way that makes disciplined actions easy to follow, success becomes more likely. Preparing in advance, setting up reminders, and eliminating distractions are all ways to reinforce discipline without constantly battling temptation or fatigue. So again, accountability is another powerful tool for maintaining discipline. When you make a commitment to yourself, it is easy to justify breaking it, especially when no one else is watching. But when you involve others in your goals, whether through mentorship, accountability partners, or public commitments, the pressure to stay consistent increases. Knowing that someone else is expecting you to follow through creates an additional layer of responsibility, making it harder to give in to excuses. One of the greatest misconceptions about discipline is that it is restrictive or joyless. In reality, discipline creates freedom. When you are disciplined, you have control over your actions rather than being controlled by impulses or distractions. A person who is disciplined with their time has more freedom to pursue meaningful goals. A person who is disciplined with their health enjoys greater energy, longevity, and well-being. A person who is disciplined in their work experiences more opportunities and financial security. Discipline may require short-term sacrifices, but it leads to long-term rewards that far outweigh temporary discomfort. Another important aspect of discipline is the ability to push through resistance. Every meaningful pursuit comes with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Those who lack discipline tend to give up when things become difficult, assuming that struggles are a sign that they are on the wrong path. But disciplined individuals understand that difficulty is part of the process. They expect resistance and prepare for it. Instead of avoiding discomfort, they embrace it as a necessary component of growth. This mindset shift allows them to keep moving forward when others would quit. Self-discipline is closely tied to self-respect. When you consistently follow through on your commitments, you build trust in yourself. You prove to yourself that you are capable, reliable, and in control of your actions. Conversely, when you repeatedly break commitments to yourself, your confidence diminishes. You begin to doubt your ability to achieve goals because past failures reinforce a sense of powerlessness. By practicing discipline, you strengthen your self-trust, which in turn enhances motivation, resilience, and self-worth. Delaying gratification is another crucial element of discipline. Many people struggle to resist immediate pleasures in favor of long-term rewards. They choose junk food over healthy meals, entertainment over productivity, comfort over challenge. But every time you prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term growth, you sacrifice future success. Discipline is the ability to resist immediate gratification in order to achieve something greater in the future. This ability, often referred to as willpower, is a skill that can be developed through consistent practice. The more you train yourself to delay gratification, the easier it becomes to stay focused on long-term goals. One of the most effective ways to cultivate discipline is through self-imposed challenges. By voluntarily subjecting yourself to discomfort, you strengthen your ability to endure difficult situations. This could mean taking cold showers, waking up early, fasting, engaging in difficult workouts, or setting personal deadlines. These challenges train your mind to resist taking the easy way out and reinforce the idea that you are capable of enduring discomfort in pursuit of a greater goal. Discipline also requires the ability to manage distractions. The modern world is filled with constant stimuli, social media, entertainment, endless notifications, all designed to pull attention away from meaningful work. A disciplined person recognizes the cost of distractions and takes proactive steps to minimize them. They set boundaries, limit exposure to unnecessary noise, and create environments that foster deep focus. By mastering the ability to control attention, they ensure that their energy is directed toward productive and fulfilling pursuits. Developing discipline is not about being perfect. There will be days when you falter, when you miss a commitment, or when you feel like giving up. But the key is to return to discipline as quickly as possible. Missing a single day is not failure, but allowing a small lapse to turn into a habit of inconsistency is. The most disciplined individuals are not those who never make mistakes, but those who recover quickly and refuse to let setbacks define their trajectory. Growth comes from stepping outside of your comfort zone. The comfort zone is a psychological space where things feel safe, familiar, and predictable. It is where routines are established, where risks are minimal, and where challenges are avoided. While comfort provides a sense of security, it also creates stagnation. People who remain within their comfort zones rarely grow, because growth requires exposure to discomfort, uncertainty, and difficulty. Those who achieve real progress in life understand that discomfort is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. One of the main reasons people resist stepping outside of their comfort zones is fear. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of the unknown. These fears create an illusion of safety, convincing people that staying where they are is better than risking something new. But what many fail to realize is that staying in the comfort zone comes with its own risks. The risk of wasted potential, the risk of never discovering one's true capabilities, the risk of looking back with regret. Growth requires a shift in perspective from seeing discomfort as a threat to seeing it as an opportunity. The process of stepping outside the comfort zone does not have to be extreme. Many people assume that growth requires taking massive leaps, quitting a job overnight, making drastic lifestyle changes, or diving headfirst into unfamiliar territory. While bold moves can be powerful, real, lasting growth is often built on small, consistent steps. A person who fears public speaking does not need to immediately address a large crowd. They can start by speaking up in small meetings or practicing in front of friends. Someone who wants to get stronger does not need to lift the heaviest weights on the first day. They can start with manageable challenges and increase intensity over time. The key to making discomfort more manageable is exposure. The more frequently you expose yourself to discomfort, the less intimidating it becomes. This is because of a psychological phenomenon known as desensitization. When you repeatedly face something that once caused fear or anxiety, your brain adapts and the fear diminishes. What once felt overwhelming begins to feel normal. Over time, the actions that once seemed impossible become second nature. The comfort zone expands, and with it, the possibilities for growth increase. A major barrier to leaving the comfort zone is perfectionism. Many people refuse to try new things because they fear not being good enough. They want to be excellent from the beginning. But this expectation is unrealistic. No one starts as an expert. Every master was once a beginner. The willingness to be bad at something before becoming good is essential for progress. Those who allow themselves to struggle, to make mistakes, to learn through failure are the ones who improve. Those who wait for the perfect moment or perfect conditions never begin. Another reason people hesitate to leave their comfort zones is the discomfort of uncertainty. The human brain craves predictability, and stepping into new territory often brings unpredictability. This creates anxiety because the outcome is unknown. But uncertainty is not something to be avoided. It is a natural part of growth. Some of the most important breakthroughs in life come from venturing into the unknown, from embracing experiences that do not have guaranteed outcomes, and the willingness to take calculated risks, to experiment, and to explore new possibilities leads to opportunities that would otherwise remain undiscovered. One of the most powerful ways to expand the comfort zone is to develop a mindset of curiosity rather than fear. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what can I learn? Instead of assuming discomfort is a sign to retreat, see it as a sign that you are growing. Curiosity shifts the focus from avoidance to exploration, from fear to excitement. It encourages a sense of play, making challenges feel like opportunities rather than threats. Those who cultivate curiosity approach difficulties with a sense of adventure, which makes the process of growth more enjoyable and sustainable. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge you is another important factor in breaking free from the comfort zone. It is easy to stay comfortable when the people around you reinforce complacency. But when you surround yourself with those who push themselves, who set high standards, and who encourage personal growth, their mindset becomes contagious. Being around those who embrace discomfort as a tool for progress creates an environment where stepping outside of the comfort zone feels normal rather than intimidating. Failure is an inevitable part of growth, and learning to reframe failure is crucial. Many people fear failure so much that they avoid taking risks altogether. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary step toward it. Every failure provides feedback. It reveals weaknesses, highlights areas for improvement, and builds resilience. Those who fear failure see it as a personal flaw, while those who embrace growth see it as valuable data. The most successful people in any field are not those who never fail, but those who fail often, learn quickly, and keep moving forward. Comfort is addictive because it feels good in the short term. Avoiding challenges provides immediate relief, but over time, it leads to dissatisfaction. People often feel stuck in life because they have prioritized short-term comfort over long-term growth. They avoid difficult conversations, new opportunities, and personal challenges because they are uncomfortable. But stagnation breeds frustration. The more a person avoids discomfort, the more powerless they feel. The way out of this cycle is to actively seek small discomforts every day, taking on small challenges, building resilience, and continuously testing personal limits creates a sense of empowerment rather than helplessness. One of the best ways to train yourself to embrace discomfort is to set personal challenges. So this could mean setting goals that stretch your abilities, committing to experiences that make you nervous, or deliberately choosing difficult tasks over easy ones. When you challenge yourself regularly, you develop confidence in your ability to handle difficult situations. Each time you succeed in stepping outside of your comfort zone, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of handling more than you once thought. Leaving the comfort zone does not mean constantly living in discomfort. Growth requires periods of challenge followed by periods of recovery. Just as muscles grow by being pushed and then given time to rest, personal development works the same way. The key is balance, pushing limits without overwhelming yourself, embracing challenges without burning out. By gradually expanding the comfort zone, growth becomes a sustainable and lifelong process. Consistency is the foundation of all meaningful progress. While ambition and talent play a role in success, it is consistency that determines whether those qualities translate into real results. Many people start with enthusiasm, setting ambitious goals, and making bold commitments. But enthusiasm fades, motivation fluctuates, and without consistency, progress stalls. The people who achieve the most in life are not necessarily the most gifted or the most inspired. They are the ones who show up day after day, regardless of how they feel. One of the greatest misconceptions about success is that it comes from sudden breakthroughs or massive actions. While big moments can happen, they are always built on a foundation of small, consistent efforts. A person does not become physically strong by going to the gym once and lifting heavy weights. Strength is built through repeated workouts, disciplined eating, and steady effort over time. Similarly, expertise in any field is not developed through occasional bursts of effort, but through years of practice, study, and refinement. Those who embrace consistency understand that daily effort, no matter how small, accumulates over time to create extraordinary results. The power of consistency lies in its compounding effect. Small improvements repeated consistently lead to exponential growth. This principle applies to every area of life: health, career, relationships, and personal development A person who reads for 10 minutes every day will gain far more knowledge over the years than someone who reads for hours, but only occasionally. A person who saves a small amount of money consistently will build wealth faster than someone who invests large amounts inconsistently. The key is not the intensity of effort, but the regularity of it. Even seemingly insignificant actions, when repeated consistently, create lasting impact. One of the biggest obstacles to consistency is the pursuit of immediate results. Many people start a new habit or goal with excitement, but become discouraged when they do not see instant progress. They go to the gym for a week, but their body looks the same. They start a new skill, but struggle in the early stages. They put in effort, but feel like nothing is changing. This impatience leads to frustration, and frustration leads to quitting. But meaningful progress takes time. Those who understand this remain committed even when results are not immediately visible. They trust the process and recognize that growth is often invisible in the beginning before it becomes undeniable. Another common barrier to consistency is the reliance on motivation. Many people assume they need to feel inspired to take action, but motivation is unreliable. Some days it is strong and taking action feels effortless. Other days it is absent and the same tasks feel impossible. Those who rely on motivation alone find themselves stuck in cycles of inconsistency, working hard when they feel like it, then stopping when motivation disappears. The solution is discipline. Discipline is the ability to take action regardless of mood, circumstances, or fleeting emotions. It is the commitment to showing up no matter what. Structure and routine are powerful tools for maintaining consistency. When habits are built into daily life, they become automatic. A person who schedules workouts at the same time each day is far more likely to stick to the habit than someone who exercises only when they feel like it. A writer who commits to writing a certain number of words every day will produce more work than someone who only writes when inspiration strikes. Creating routines removes decision-making and reduces resistance, making it easier to maintain consistency. Accountability plays a crucial role in staying consistent. When people rely solely on their own willpower, they are more likely to make excuses and abandon commitments. But when there is external accountability, a mentor, a coach, a friend, or a public commitment, the pressure to stay consistent increases. Knowing that someone else is aware of their progress creates an additional layer of responsibility, making it harder to quit. Surrounding oneself with disciplined and goal-oriented individuals further reinforces the habit of consistency. Another important factor in maintaining consistency is adjusting expectations. Many people assume that every day must be perfect, that every effort must be their best. But perfection is an illusion, and chasing it leads to frustration. There will be days when energy is low, when results are disappointing, when mistakes happen. But consistency is not about being perfect. It is about showing up even on bad days. A person who exercises regularly will not have a perfect workout every time, but even an average workout is better than none. A person who practices a skill daily will not always improve at the same rate, but consistent effort ensures long-term progress. The goal is not perfection, but persistence. Failure is inevitable, and those who succeed are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who never stop. A person who is consistent will face setbacks, missed days, and mistakes. But what sets them apart is their ability to return to their routine without letting small failures turn into permanent ones. Many people fall into the trap of all or nothing thinking. If they miss one day, they feel like they have failed entirely and give up. But consistency is not about never missing a day. It is about never missing 2 in a row. The ability to bounce back quickly, to keep going despite setbacks, is what separates those who reach their goals from those who do not. The impact of consistency extends beyond achievement. It builds identity. A person who exercises daily eventually sees themselves as someone who prioritizes health. A person who writes every day begins to see themselves as a writer. The more consistent an action is, the more it becomes part of who they are. This identity shift creates self-reinforcing momentum, making it easier to maintain habits in the long run. When actions align with identity, consistency becomes second nature. Consistency also strengthens resilience. When a person builds the habit of showing up daily, they develop mental toughness. They learn to work through obstacles, to persist despite challenges, to keep going even when conditions are not ideal. This resilience spills over into other areas of life, making them more capable of handling adversity. A person who has trained themselves to stay consistent in one area will find it easier to apply the same mindset to other pursuits. Another reason consistency is so powerful is that it eliminates the need for constant decision making. When actions become habits, there is no need to debate whether to do them. They simply become part of daily life. This reduces mental fatigue and makes it easier to stay on track. A person who has committed to a consistent schedule does not waste time debating whether or not to take action. They simply follow the plan. This removes hesitation and increases efficiency, leading to greater long-term success. Success is not built on grand moments, but on small, repeated efforts over time. Those who commit to consistency, who take action daily, who persist even when progress is slow, eventually achieve what others only dream of. The key is not intensity, but persistence.